Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 26th at approximately 12:43 p.m. PST. Things are getting interesting. I was looking over a number of postings on various things like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, this sort of thing. Those are the ones I'm most active on. Well, in all fairness, those are pretty much the only ones I'm active on. But as I said, I've noticed people are spending more time talking about getting along, pointing out things that are from a universal standpoint, okay, apply to everybody one way or the other. Now, we've been talking about this issue of getting the energy focused, but starting in your body, going to the world around you in the immediate. Okay, in this case, in my office, things are getting turned around. Then working on the rest of your home or your office, wherever you spend the majority of your time. Okay, the way this works is once you get your own area sorted out, and this is why the first karmic law is so important. Be true to yourself first. If you don't get yourself in order before you try getting everybody else in order, you're likely going to miss some rather critical issues. Now, can it be done? Certainly. There's a lot of people, a lot of you out there are really good at putting your life on hold to make sure everybody else is taken care of. And it's funny, the more I get the stuff in this office sorted out, the more I realize what I've done. Okay. And you may be able to relate to this. But the amount of clutter in my house has been literally looking outside of me and gathering all this stuff around me that is pretty much pointless. I don't have a lot of it, doesn't have a direct impact on me. But if you picture each piece of stuff that you've got in your house that doesn't have to do with your own happiness, with your own success, what you're likely doing is representing the other people or the other things that you're striving to get sorted out. Okay, that you don't have direct control over. So, from a symbolic standpoint, I have no idea. That's my phone ring, and I'm just going to ignore it. From a symbolic standpoint, the more you get stuff moved out of the way, the easier it is for you to turn around and get your own life running properly. What I'm finding is I'm paying more attention to the way that energy is really affecting me. Okay, and yeah, I know that sounds almost selfish, but think of it this way. You start getting rid of the clutter that you're going through, that you've got in your area, and you'll find you start focusing more on what you're feeling good about and about what's making you feel unhappy. And rest assured, the issue of feeling unhappy, of what's making you unhappy or what's holding you back, is easier to identify than the stuff that is making you happy. I have no idea why I'm having fun trying to breathe right now, but oh well. By clearing the energy out of your immediate working area, by clearing the junk out, because if you look at this shelf over here, okay, that's all that is on that second shelf. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay, that's got my Tolkien collection on it. And it's got the books that are actually listed in the Yldrbacian Chronicles, in Casey's office. Now, I'm still missing some of the books that I need, and I'll be tracking that list down so that I can find what I'm seeking afterwards. But right now, the important thing that I came to the understanding of rather clearly is by getting the energy, by really getting things focused, what's happening is my energy level is starting to climb. You'll find the same thing. If you've got a project that you've put on hold, okay, that you've put on hold for whatever reason, okay, maybe you had a goal that you were aiming at that you started when you were younger, and because somebody came along and said, you're reaching too high, you've got to be more realistic. Well, the reality of it is this. You can accomplish anything in life if you set your sights low enough. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide. And the reason I do that is because I've been working in this industry of striving to help people since I was a child. It became public knowledge when I was 10. And once I started remembering past lives, I found out what my real purpose, why did I come back to this lifetime? Because, if I take a look at it, as it turns out, my childhood, I always thought, until I got one piece of information, I originally thought that I had been ostracized badly as a child. As it turns out, that was not the case. What happened was I started pushing people away, even as a young child. Okay, I wouldn't go outside at recess. I wouldn't deal with people on the whole. Okay, but I thought I was being ostracized. What it turned out was I pushed them away because I was picking up too much information. Okay, and there were a lot of things that were put on hold, which is why when I wrote the storyline for the Yldrbac Chronicles, it got written, the storyline got written, and then it got left alone. Okay, well, that said, we're finally making headway with it. But much more importantly, the more stuff I get moved out of the office, so I'm not looking at all the junk, the more relaxed I am, the more energy I have. Sad to say, it's not doing a whole lot for this, so I gotta look into that. But I saw a post, and I'm just gonna repeat it here. I saw a post, somebody was talking about, well, let's go this way. Before I get into that, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to this channel, because there's a lot of information coming out. Okay. And, my goal is to get this one single message out to the entirety of existence, not just the people with videos. But when you get off the computer or off the phone, whatever you're watching this on, I'm hoping that you'll take this information and spread it to the people around you. Okay. Now, I'm not a massive, I could tell you all sorts of things that I'm not. You figure it out. I've got a whopping total right now on YouTube of 162 people right now. 162 subscribers. I've got something, I've got somewhere probably over all of mine, I've got maybe 5,000 combined on all sites, with all sites. But I have come to one very simple conclusion. If we do not change the way we're dealing with things and start working together as a combined force, we're going to run into the same problems we've run into the past. Now, the funny thing is, some people I've talked to have said, I don't want to know about the past. Well, and that's a cute thought. The problem is, there's an old saying that rings very true. Those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. But those that dwell on history have exactly the same problem. Now, I've noticed a neat trend has happened on the postings I'm seeing. Now, I don't know what's going on in the news per se, but I do know this. On the social media, there's a new strain of things that are coming out where people are starting to say, look, if you desire to wear a mask, great, wear a mask. If you don't. But don't get mad at the other people that are choosing to go a way different than you. Okay, it's ultimately the same as with the flu vaccine, and I do mean literally the flu. Many people swear by it. Okay, where they go, I get the flu vaccine every year, and without and I never miss. But they don't complain if you don't get one, because the flu vaccine works on you as an individual. Okay. Many people will swear by insurance. I'll buy insurance for my house. And that's one of those funny little things where I buy insurance for my house. I was told by one person, why buy insurance for your house? You've never had to make a claim. Right. Which I haven't. But I looked at the person and I went, well, that's a cute thought. But here's the thing. if I take that idea that I really don't do anything that requires it, by that reckon and by that condition, I shouldn't bother with auto insurance either. Because I also have never made a claim on the auto. Well, that's not true. I made one about a quarter century ago, where I had to make a claim on my insurance. But you buy insurance, you take vaccines, you take medication to avoid problems down the road, to hopefully circumvent them. Now, in that same line of reasoning, I was talking to an insurance adjuster one day, and he put it this way: if you ever get rear-ended in an accident, number one, legally, it's absolutely, most of the time, it's the guy behind you's fault. That was terrible English. Okay, but he says, in reality, it's partially your fault as well, because you should have been paying a little bit more attention to what was coming up behind you. Had you been doing that, you may have seen the person and been able to adjust and get a little out of the way. Prime example of that was I got rear-ended. And if I had noticed the guy behind me, I could have moved forward all of a foot and a half. I had lots of room in front of me, and the guy would have missed me altogether. I didn't see him coming. Okay. And he folded the back end of my car up all the way from the back bumper all the way to the back window. Ended up corkscrewing the frame at the same time. Now, was it his fault? Certainly. I don't know where he came from, in all honesty. But the important factor was this: he wasn't badly hurt, much as my car was a write-off. I wasn't hurt. But as the insurance adjuster put it, if I'd have been a little bit more aware of the vehicles around me, I may have seen him coming and might have been able to do something about it. This didn't change the legal responsibility. That was his. But I'll tell you, I could have used the issue of not losing the car. But people are reaching out more and more and more. And they're saying, you guys are doing a fantastic job of reaching out to help the people around you, to help the animals around you, and to repost what other people are doing. Now, this isn't just a one-person task. This is something that's going to require all of us. And I'm waiting to see, and like as this is going, I'm watching the postings to see when people start coming forward and going, I've been following this religion, and now, and I'm finding there are problems with it, and I'm starting to reach out to the other religions. Now, understand, whether you're Christian, Buddhist, Sikh, Hindu, Wiccan, doesn't matter. You're still all in the same place. You're all right here, right now. And it's still a simple case of working together. We can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, this lifetime, of course, I've got the advantage. I remember past lives. And I came back to this world at this time for one purpose. Okay, one primary purpose. And that was to spread the word, to simply spread a single idea. Working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. And the people that I've been reaching out to, you guys have been doing an absolute fabulous job. And clearly, from what I'm seeing, if I take a look at the timing of when I started saying this sort of thing to what's happening now, it's having an impact. Okay. So I'm going to continue, and I'm just looking here. I'm wondering, that red and black thing is my chair. But I think the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to finish clearing. Yeah, sure, point at the screen. Up here, there's a shelf that's got some stuff up there. Now, a lot of it's already been moved. Okay, I'm going to be moving the rest of that out of the way so that shelf gets emptied right off. Okay, because I personally desire the clutter to be gone. With that in mind, here's the other thing it's done for me. The one primary goal I've got is to get these videos done. And the more the energy runs smoothly, the better off I am. The easier things work. and the easier it will be to focus on or to cope with the other people around me. Okay, or cope with the other people around you. Okay, so if you've got a goal that you've put on hold, take a sheet of paper and start working on it again. And I'm talking about goals for you. Even if somebody else has come along and said, no, you're reaching too high. I heard it put to me one day, shoot for the stars, because you may not get to the stars, but you may only get to the moon, but you've still gotten further than where, I hate that word, you've still achieved more than what you would if you did nothing. Okay. So it really does boil down to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you content with you? If the answer is yes, then great. If the answer is no, it's time to start adjusting what's going on in your life. In my case, these things are a pain in the neck, which is why I'm in the process of striving to heal my eyes altogether. I just sent off, for those of you that have already got a copy of this, I've just started working, I've just sent off the first of the pictures to my artist. That's The Birth of the Wolfpack, by the way. Okay, that's the novel, the story that I started writing when I was back in grade 10. Okay. For those of you that have already got a copy of it, I am doing a reprint on it. I've already started working on the pictures for it. Okay, I've started working on the pictures now for Races of the Worlds. And just before people jump on that, okay, I've got this neat little database here. I'm still very much a dinosaur. And this boils down to organizing the energy in your own world. Told somebody one day they couldn't hack my database. And they told me flat out, I can hack any database. And I looked at them and I said, really? Long story short, I explained to them that this is my database. I'm still a dinosaur. This is card files. There's not a computer hacker on the planet that can get into my database. Primarily because it's not on computer. Okay. But it boils down to pick a goal or pick something in your life you're not content with and start removing the parts that are holding you back. Okay. If you're in a relationship, very important, make sure that you're happy in the relationship. Okay, and if you're not, don't go with this idea, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion. This is why I don't get people to talk to me about diplomatic relations. Because in my opinion, you don't lie to your partner, you don't lie to the people you're talking to. Because frankly, if you don't desire to be lied to, don't lie to them. I've been called a lot of things over the years, okay, and, the reality is, the one thing I don't do is I won't lie to people to make them feel better. The tools I offer here are tools that I personally implement myself. And the philosophies I talk about are the philosophies I live my life by. Which is why I say if you're following any spiritual guide at all, be it mainstream religion, what they call ancient religions, or the old ways, doesn't matter. Take a look at who is leading the group and ask yourself, are they following the tools that they are personally using? If the answer is yes, that's great. Okay, if the answer is no, they're not, it's time to really take a look in the mirror and go, is this the type of person I desire to be following? Now, I do wholeheartedly believe and encourage you, get together with a group of people of like mind that really focus on the karmic laws. And those karmic laws are easy to follow. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Now take a look at the guidelines you're personally following and compare them to those three. If you find one that does not match your rule, if you find a rule that does not match, does not fit inside those three, absolutely, I would love for you to drop a comment in the comments below and let me know. Okay, come right and let me know because I'm looking to see if there's any that don't fit. And thus far, I've looked at Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism. I've looked at the Sikh religion. I don't know all the names, and my apologies for that, but I'm not perfect by any functional stretch. I've looked at Jehovah's Witness, at the Mormons, at Wiccan, at the Church of Satan, at the Cree Nation. You know, I've looked at a lot of different things, and thus far, even when I got looking into the guidelines of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, all of their guidelines fit inside those three. And this is why those are the only three I focus on. But the reality is, if all of us follow those, if all of us start working together. Okay, now I mentioned right at the beginning here, I'd read a post on Facebook, and it was brilliant. It in all fairness, it had to do with the gun laws and what have you. With the gun laws in the States. And in my opinion, this applies to every restrictive law that's out there. But I'm going to only tangle with the gun laws for a moment. Now, I've been avoiding most of the major laws, most of the major topics for a long time. Where it comes to the gun laws, okay, let's regulate guns. Let's get all the loose guns turned in. Here's an interesting thing to think about. When a law is made to limit guns, okay, across when the government says, okay, we're going to collect up all the loose guns, all the unregistered guns, the guns that are going to be turned in are the guns that are held by the people that are responsible, the people that are following the laws, the people that are treating the guns in a proper fashion. Okay, as in storing them properly, taking the right training so that they aren't accidentally discharging them. They're not picking them up in anger. They pick them up for two things: self-defense and hunting. Now, I do agree wholeheartedly that many guns, depending on, there's a lot of different reasons for having a gun. But the people that are going to turn them in on a clampdown on guns are the people that are going to use them responsibly, are going to use them only for hunting, for food purposes, or for self-defense. The rest of the guns are still going to be out there. Your criminals, your wingnuts that just have no interest in following. They're just basically, they like having things so that they can make a mess later. They're the ones that are foolhardy. They're the ones that will leave the guns, where they're easy to get at for kids, and then they won't teach the kids, don't touch them. Okay. Now, that's where the problem comes in with the guns. The same thing applies with everything else. Okay. If you're going to have them, okay, absolutely. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to make the laws, and you get a hold of somebody that doesn't have one registered, okay, and I'm not talking about you shouldn't register guns. I'm talking about the only ones that are going to be registered are the ones that are for the law-abiding citizens. People that are going to break the law in the first place don't care what the law is. They're not going to register, and they're certainly not going to voluntarily turn them in. But that's where the other side comes in. When somebody does, you don't go around and just blanket take everybody's guns, right? You go in and you go, okay, this is what we've asked. If you don't register them, in all fairness, it won't make a lot of difference if you're not doing anything wrong with them. Okay. But the moment you're doing something wrong, if you weren't registered, then absolutely at that point, pull the gun. Okay. Mind you, I look at the same thing with cars. People go out and, you have to get taught how to drive before you get a car. This doesn't guarantee that you're going to drive properly. But where things are becoming problematic is that people are driving cars when they should no longer be doing so, as in they're no longer safe driving them. Okay. And the reality behind that is if you have just a flat out, at this age, you just flat out can't drive anymore. Okay, there's a problem with that. Because some people that are in their 80s and 90s, some of them are better drivers and much more cautious, much more responsible than the people that are, just getting their license. Okay, again, when we're talking about working together, a law when it is passed has to be equal to everybody. And, ironically enough, this spins over into religion. If you're following a religion where it says, your God or your spiritual guide loves everybody, but they hate this person, and here's a way to kill off these people, you've got a problem. Okay? Even when we take a look at the overall laws, and societal laws, if they do not apply to everybody from an equal standpoint, then you end up with a society that will fracture. Okay, and it will pull itself apart. And the path people are on the verge, they were really badly on the verge, but I'm happy to see it switching around. That things are turning. And people are starting to realize we've got to work together. Because natural disasters, if you've ever noticed, when ants invade a house, they don't check to see who you voted for. They don't check what your wallet looks like before they move in. The rain doesn't check to see what your relationship is doing. Doesn't check to see whether you're smiling every day. It just rains on everybody. The same thing. If you treat everybody the same way you desire to be treated, which from my standpoint boils down to, if you're out and about, simply smile at people. Be honest. This does not mean you have to tell everybody everything about you. Because here's the reality behind the people that go, well, if you're not saying something, it's as bad as lying. Well, there is not a person on the planet that tells everything they're doing. That is strictly honest. That does not avoid telling people things, but they're not a person on the planet that tells everything. Okay. For instance, if you were to ask me what I'm doing right now, and I tell you, I'm doing a post right now. Is that all you're doing? Yeah, that's all I'm doing. No, it's not. Because people overlook the simple things. And this might be a little bit splitting hairs, but I'm also scanning all the stuff behind me, figuring out what's got to be done. I'm sitting here breathing. I'm sitting here, my heart's beating. I'm sitting here planning out the next steps with the Yldrbac Chronicles that I'm writing. Okay, I'm still calculating how quickly we can turn this whole venue around so that people on a much higher level start actually working. Now, what I would like to see is a secondary pandemic start. The secondary pandemic is smiling. That's it. I'm not asking well, maybe I am asking for a minor miracle or a major one, but if we can get 80% of the world smiling at each other and focusing on the positive things that are happening instead of the negative ones, then just maybe we can avoid some of the civil wars and some of the wars that we're actually starting to work towards. Now, that's extremely oversimplified, and I will be back again tomorrow. Okay, but for today, I'm done. I will see you tomorrow again. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.